want or need was always there. It ultimately boils down to the affordability. Always people want features, but they are always constrained by budget. People want at a lesser price car which is packaged with all features. Without market expansion, your growth will be subdued. I'm a technology lover and all technologies really excite me. I would not say it's the end of the road. It's a difficult road, definitely, for hatches and sedans.
Hello and welcome to Boardroom Talkies. I'm Yuthika Bhargava and today I'm in conversation with Shailesh Chandra, MD and CEO Tata Motors Passenger Vehicles. Passenger vehicle business has undergone a drastic change from being known as a taxi player to becoming leaders in PVs and EVs. Today we will talk about that journey, how did that come about and what lies ahead. Thank you so much for joining us, Shailesh.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Shailesh, I wanted to start on a personal note. You have been with Tata for now 30 years. How has that journey been for you? And was auto something at that point you thought, this is something that I want to do, this is something that I want to be in?
Yeah, from my childhood days, I was always very keen of toys, and those toys were mainly cars. And at some stage, the passion for cars intensified quite a bit. And later on, discovered that engineering would be the best route to eventually work for a car company or an auto company at that point in time. Of course, you have your parents to also shape your career towards engineering. And fortunately, the passion and the education, then what I pursued, converged together. And I remember that after 12th, when I went through this IIT JEE exam, when I was listing down my choice, I gave mechanical engineering as my choice, and I got it in IIT BHU Varanasi, and there I pursued my mechanical engineering, where there was also a few semesters where we had specialization of automotive and all, and that I took. Always wanted to work for, at that time called Telco, as a company which was very well respected, Tata company and all. That's where I started my career. Fortunately, got the opportunity to work in multiple functions, starting from production to then vendor management to then product development, then to strategy, and then to leading the business. So it has been quite a dream run in that sense, that passion of cars and all, and the work that you did for all these 30 years were aligned. So it has been a great journey.
You have also seen, because you have been with Tata for so long, you have seen the Tata transformation also very up close. So for you, how was that transformation? How did it come about? The company must have to change a little bit. So how did that transformation happen? Give us a little inside view of what happened there.
When I joined the company in 1995, we were pretty much in the early phases of liberalization as an economy. And with a lot of hangover of the license Raj and all, where it was a very supply-driven market rather than, market-driven, demand-driven. So from that time, that's the reason why I joined production also, because it was the people in production who used to finally, reach the top and so on. And I said that that's the place where you can also vent out your engineering knowledge. At the same time, you have a pathway for future career growth and all. Since then, you have seen an organization which has moved from a slightly bureaucratic, I would say, in that sense, because that is how the organizations used to be, to becoming more market-oriented, getting into passenger vehicles sometime around 1998. And the separation of businesses ensured that there was different, efforts on different requirements on technology that was needed on commercial vehicle and passenger vehicle side. You saw multiple innovations happening in both commercial vehicle business and passenger vehicle business. For nearly 12 years of my career, I was earlier in commercial vehicle business before shifting to the corporate headquarters, and then a small stint in Tata Sons. But you saw the company scaling up, getting into two businesses, passenger vehicle business, culturally changing from a very supply oriented company to a very demand oriented company. On the tech side, you have seen significant advent and alignment with global technologies. We are significantly behind, I would say. And now you see culturally the company is very forward looking. Tech wise, it is much future ready. And I think we are doing well in both commercial vehicle and passenger vehicle with global footprint also, as far as our presence is concerned in that sense.
I had this question for later, but since you mentioned tech, I wanted to bring in this question. Now all the cars, they are software driven. There's a lot of tech that goes into it. How has that shift come around, and how is now Tata better prepared for this shift? Like how has dealing with tech changed in terms of hiring, in terms of execution?
Really, the acceleration of the technology has come in this decade only, I would say, because the whole disruption in the automotive space, what we term as acronym as ACEs, which is autonomy, connected, electric and shared, became a topic in 2020. But some of them had very rapid adoption. For example, connected and then electric, some level of autonomy, because it is also measured in different levels. And in this period, I think there has been a lot of experimentation that we did, a lot of exposure we got from different markets, but also worked collaboratively with multiple suppliers who are investing in this space. And alongside that, bringing real products embedded with those technologies, I think this has helped us to become more future ready. Take the example of electric itself, where we went through the experimentation phase to start with, and we are pretty much making it mainstream, and we have very good understanding of the technology. As we move from now to say end of this decade, we are in the middle of this decade, the big architecture shift is in the software defined vehicle architecture. And that is literally mimicking the world of mobile phones, for example, where when you buy a product, the earlier cars that you bought with certain set of features. And then when things changed in 5 years, you had a new feature set which came, you had to change your car. Now the expectation, like in mobile phone, you get the over-the-air updates, and you can more frequently access new features with the same hardware. I think that's the world in which the automotive is also leading to. So when you buy a car, you would expect now that there is an upgrade that you are getting in the car itself during the ownership period. So with that changing expectation and therefore imperative of therefore changing your architecture and readiness towards software defined vehicle is something which we are working on. And there are different levels of what is the end destination of software defined vehicles. We have already brought software defined vehicles in, say, for example, Sierra and all, and you will see the advent of the next level of sophistication of software defined vehicles in the coming products.
I also wanted to ask that does this also prevent, everybody is talking about now cars are very feature loaded, maybe more than what consumers actually use. So over the air updates, does that sort of solve this problem also?
I think, both might be slightly decoupled topics. There are people who, let me say that there are people who want the car to remain simple on one extreme, right? There are people who would like to access new features in line with their general lifestyle around how they use their mobile, what features they access, always connected and so on. So that's the second level. And the third extreme level is you give beyond what is needed by the customers. More good to have, or even at times more marketing gimmicks and all. So I think it is always safe to be in the space where customer is looking for a certain kind of features. Mostly these are the early adopters who access new features and are more comfortable with that. I think that is a continuous discovery and experimentation that you do on the feature side. versus an over-the-air update for all the softwares that are being used in a car. That in any case will require software updates for multiple reasons, at times for debugging or making the the whole experience more faster, more efficient, and so on, and at times giving new features over the air. So I think these are two different aspects. Both will go hand in hand.
You've also seen customers change, their preferences change. We are now moving to SUVs and more premium features. So do you think that India is past that stage where we were price sensitive market, or they are actually going for features, and why the shift is happening?
No, see, the want or need was always there, right? It ultimately boils down to the affordability, right? Over a period of time, we have seen that the average selling price of the cars has increased from say 6-7 lakh rupees to now 11.5 lakh rupees. That is a signal of affordability increase. And when you are able to pay more for the car that you are buying, you can therefore access more features also. And that is the change that we are seeing. So always people want features, but they are always constrained by budget. Now, given these two also, you have seen that people have a bias towards feature versus size of the car, right? Some of the people are ready to compromise given the budget to have lesser features, or not, let me say lesser feature, I would say optimal set of feature set, but with a certain size of a car. Some customers want all the feature set even if the size of the car is more compact. So you have all kind of variations going on. So want was always there. The affordability and ability of people to pay more for accessing car has increased, and that's the reason how it is playing out in the country.
But is price sensitivity something that we have moved beyond?
I can't say that, because still when you compare with the developed worlds, our average median selling prices of cars would be 1/3 of or half of their prices. So still we are very price sensitive country in that sense, and that's why it has you'll see in many cases some of the overseas players have faced difficulty in creating a compelling value proposition with the cars that they sell in their geographies to make it successful in India, because people want at a lesser price a car which is packaged with all features. So it's a challenge, and there is some level of frugal engineering that you have to do to make it accessible with a high set of features at a lesser price point. So it remains a price sensitive market.
And you are launching the updated version of Punch EV. So as far as customer feedback is concerned, what is the feedback you got for previous EVs, and then you have got added new features to it? And also, how do you decide which cars need an upgrade in terms of facelift, or which need a full makeover?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question. In automotive industry or car industry, it's a very established cycle of giving a refresh and then a big facelift. And it's a cycle of say 7 years or 3 years. In this time period, you bring those refreshes, and that gives you enough time period for syncing your car in line with the trends, from a styling perspective, feature perspective, aesthetics perspective, and so on. So that's a cycle which is established. Specifically coming to Punch EV, I think this was a specific issue in the market that we were trying to address. If you really see the EV industry, over a period of time, it has got fragmented or segmented, let me call it segmented, into entry EVs which say are less than 12 lakh rupees, mid-size EVs which is, let's say, from 12 to 18 lakh, and then high-end EVs which are greater than 18 lakh. What you're seeing is that there's a high level of adoption in mid and high EVs, which is to the tune of 10%. But less than 12 lakh EVs, which are the entry EVs, are relegated as a city EV because of low range, price which is 30-40% more expensive than the ICE equivalent vehicle, and lack of the confidence that you need to give to the customer as far as, say, for example, battery life is concerned. which you are able to give to a great extent in mid and high EVs. And therefore, the penetration as compared to 10% in mid and high EVs, it is only 1.6% in entry EVs. So the challenge that we had to overcome is to how to give a reasonable range, which gives comfort as against just 250 kilometer range, which relegates it to a city EV, and price which is significantly expensive and not giving lifetime warranties as a assurance to the customer how we can crack this in the entry EV also. And that is what the brief for Punch EV, upgrade was. So on one hand, you are in sync with the life cycle management of a car, which I talked about 3 years, and you have kind of coincided it with the upgrade which was required to make it more compelling for a customer to overcome the barriers which were existing in entry EVs, which was causing a very low penetration. So this Punch EV comes with 350 kilometer range. It is very close to price parity, especially when you compare with CNG AMT. It might be additional 10% variance with petrol AMT. And we are also giving lifetime warranty. So therefore, it therefore should give greater confidence for a consumer who only wants to keep one car, not as a second car, which is a city car, because of which the entry EVs penetration have remained low.
Is 350 kilometers something that customers are okay with in EV? But because there's usually range anxiety.
So ideally you would like to have say 400 plus kilometer, but we have gone with the boundary condition that customers for this size of car and this segment of car will be reluctant to pay beyond a certain price. So within that price, how much we can maximize the range and keep moving towards 400 kilometer. But if you really see the intercity drive, for city drive though it has been never a problem. Punch EV existed earlier with 260 kilometer range and so on. Now, if you see the data, we have seen that median intercity drive in the country is 180 kilometers. And for 80% of the 90% of the cases, it is less than 400 kilometer. So in that context, 350 kilometer becomes a reasonable car where you are able to do most of the intercity drives. And therefore, it becomes a very a good option at a very compelling price proposition. The eventual destination for this would be to bring price parity, give unlimited warranty, and take it to 450 kilometer range, for example. But as we keep working on the cost structure side, we will keep enhancing, say, every 3-4 years.
You are leaders in EV right now, and you had the first mover advantage. Also, now we are seeing a lot of competition coming in, a lot of products coming in. While it will expand the EV market, but then what about Tata? Can you hold your leadership, and how will that happen?
Yeah. So see, market expansion is definitely needed for early starters like us, because without competition, the market will not expand. And without market expansion, your growth will be subdued. As an example, in FY26, the market grew by 75%. We also grew by 45%. So for us, we are not worrying about market share. We are more comfortable driving growth and driving the overall penetration of electric vehicles, expansion of the electric vehicle market, and that comes with participation of the top 6 players in the country who command nearly 90 to 95% share. Coming to maintaining the market leadership, I think to maintain the market leadership, what you need, whether you see in the ICE world or you see in any industry, your width of the portfolio decides. Who has maximum coverage and of the addressable market which is there. Which I am the best, because I have 6 products. I have a plan to expand it to 10 products. With the existing products also, I'm increasing the proposition and continuously enhancing the value proposition of the product, as I talked about in Punch EV. I have a very strong network coverage. My brand is number 2 in any case in PV industry. These are the aspects which decide whether you are the market leader or not. So the width of your portfolio and the compelling value proposition of your each product basically determines whether you remain as the leaders or not. That's what is in our control, and I think we are steadfast to that approach, and that should keep us the market leader.
How are EV acceptance trends in terms of, are we seeing first time buyers getting into EV, and even now, is it that GST rates are low? Is that the point that is driving EV sales still?
I think definitely there is a pressure which has come in, say, less than 4-meter cars, where the GST arbitrage, which was roughly 28% minus 5%, which was 23%, has gone down to 13%. There's lesser pressure on the greater than 4-meter cars, which still the differential remains 40% minus 5, which is 35%. So entry EVs definitely have a pressure greater than that, which was already under pressure, by the way, because of the low penetration that we see in this segment. But over a period of time, I think the pace at which the cost is reducing in electric vehicles, the cost of components, subsystem, design innovations and all to reduce cost and all, is significantly faster than what you're seeing in ICE. Rather, because you have to meet the regulations which are becoming more and more stringent in ICE, the cost structure is actually increasing in ICE. So over a period of time, this disadvantage of 10% which has come will get overcome over a period of time. Therefore, the difficulties that are short term should get over in mid to long term.
And first time buyers, are they coming in now?
Of course, when you introduce a new technology, it moves from early adoption to early majority, then to late majority, and then to mainstream. I think we are on now in the second phase of early majority, given that we are about already 5% of penetration. Next 5 years, we should be more moving towards 15 to 20%. And therefore, you'll have, when you get into early majority itself, you start seeing a lot of first-time buyers. And mid to high EVs, you are already seeing a lot of first-time buyers.
Okay.
Not first-time buyers, but only cars. Let me use that word. In entry EVs and even in mid EVs, where people are buying the first car also, you are seeing quite a significant level of first-time buyers also buying EVs.
Shailesh, you've previously said that you are more for EVs rather than hybrids. So why? What is the rationale behind it? Is it you think that for India hybrids are not a necessity, or it's a technological thing that EVs should be there?
No, I've already said that we are already proactive about EVs. If somebody had a choice to invest when you had limited money, I would rather invest in a long-term technology which is going to sustain itself rather than intermediate technologies and all. That does not mean that I have been against hybrid. I have been against hybrid from an incentive perspective, right? Because incentive should be directed towards technologies which are destination technologies, which have greater challenge in terms of consumer adoption, cost viability, ecosystem creation. So there is no hate for any technology. I'm a technology lover and all technologies really excite me. So it's not about whether hybrid is right or all will coexist, right? It's a question of where you incentivize.
So you don't see it as an end of road for hybrid at some point in future?
Might be, because destination has to be electric. Ultimately, the efforts of the governments towards net carbon zero is going to push the technology towards zero emission technologies. If there is an alternate to electric vehicle which is zero emission, possibly that technology, if it is viable, that will also come into the picture.
What about form factor? We have SUVs, we have hatchback sedans. SUVs are obviously rising, sedans, hatchbacks are declining. Is it a long-term trend that you see? So is it an end of a road, so to say, for sedans and hatchbacks, and in long term, in 10 years from now, say, do you see it SUVs only?
I would not say it's the end of the road. It's a difficult road, definitely, for hatches and sedans, given that the launch actions are very centered around SUVs. It's gaining popularity, not just because of form factor, but because of a lot of practical reasons. India, you have different kind of roads in different parts of the country. Many a times the cars are being used in rural areas where you don't have great roads, and therefore high ground clearance is a need rather than a want, I would say. So therefore, for practical reasons, SUVs growth in India is also nuanced because of those reasons. Also, the average age of the customers have an impact on the choices. For example, in Europe and all, where you still have 45 years or 48 years of average age or median age, you still see good traction for, say, sedans and hatches. But in India, the average age is 28. Possibly the cars that they have been seeing around, and the cars the youngsters have been attracted towards has been SUVs. So maybe that's the reason why the excitement around SUVs will be slightly more in India as compared to what we see in Europe, which is stabilizing around 55% or so. But there will be market for hatches and sedans to the extent of 1 million, even as India is growing, is what I believe.
But you are also putting a lot of investment in hatchbacks.
For that reason, if it's a 1 million market, and when you have a product, why you would not utilize it?
Yeah. So if you look back, if we go back a few years and if we talk about your personal experience, is there some bets that you took that, you think that it might work, but it way past your expectation, or you thought that this might work and that didn't work out?
The bets that we have taken has mostly surprised us favorably only, I can say. EVs is one example in 2017 and 18 where I remember cutting a cake when we sold 100 numbers of EVs in a month to now when we sell 9 to 10,000 numbers. Frankly, could not have imagined that the EVs could have scaled up so fast. So it has been a pleasant surprise in that sense. Now the ambition grows more on the back of this foundation. CNG has also been a big surprise, I thought, because we always thought this is more appealing to customers who are either in the fleet or customers who are very, very price sensitive or cost sensitive customers. But we have seen that as we brought, overcame some of the concern areas on the CNG side, that cylinder was blocking the boot space, or for example giving more aspirational feature in CNG cars, the customer responded much better than what we had expected, to the extent that 25% of our cars being sold in our portfolio is CNG, which we only started in 2022. So multi-powertrain bet has surprised us, and it has acted favorably in other ways. In terms of, say, for example, CAFE norms and all, it makes us very easy to meet. So I really don't see any negative surprises on the negative or adverse side in that sense. I think things have been good for us.
Maybe that also talks about your leadership. Surprises on the good side.
You have to take actions, and then the destiny has to help you.
So how did that EV shift came about when you guys were discussing EVs internally? How difficult was it? Who did most of the convincing?
Frankly, I tell you, it was not very difficult. One that there was a clear understanding that the national imperatives are pointing towards a net carbon zero world, where India is needing the energy security, where 75% of the oil is getting imported, and 15 out of 20 most polluted cities in the world is in India. And you are seeing in the corridors of policy decision makers talking about electric vehicles, and then you are seeing countries like Norway and all seeing high adoption of electric vehicles even in 2017-18. I think even, the biggest thing was that Tata Group chairman himself was very convinced. And therefore, there was absolute alignment that this is a bet towards nation building that one has to take. And therefore, we then decided to focus on the next step rather than thinking too far away. And I think one step at a time really helped us in building the whole ecosystem in the country. And as a result of which, we have quite matured in the overall strategy and development of ecosystem in the country.
Shailesh, safety has become a very strong differentiator. You also stress a lot on safety. So how important has that feature, those star ratings, become now? Are they a deciding factor when a person wants to buy a car?
See, first, cars which were made since 1998 in Tata Motors were inherently made safe. And I would give full credit to the vision of Mr. Tata, who always kept safety at the top. Despite no 5-star ratings and all available at that point in time, he invested into the first crash test facility in India. That was the foresight. And always the guidance to all of us used to be that no matter even if it is costing you slightly more, but keeping the customer safe is of paramount importance, and that is one should. The awareness on safety we could only build when we got GNCAP 5-star and all. Even before that, our cars were very safe. The presence of a crash testing facility and the engineering expertise which was built around it gave us very high confidence of building, safer cars for India. And therefore it has happened over a long period of time, I must say. But we have brought greater awareness with the star rating which came through GNCAP and then now BNCAP, helped us in objectively stating a car is safe to what extent in that sense.
Shailesh, just to close this on a note that, if we talk about 5 years from now, what does success look for Tata Motors, beyond market share? How do you envision the company?
The win would be that we become the prominent player not only nationally, but we create a mark in the international at a global level. I think that will be one of the big mission ahead of us in the next 4-5 years. We should have shaped the powertrain mix in the country in favor of what is right for the environment and the challenges for the country. And we should be future ready on the tech side and globally relevant on the tech side. And we would have created expertise within India on the engineering and tech side to the extent that we are compared with the best globally.
So you talked about globally making a mark. What are you doing for this, and what is it just exports, or what is the vision?
It will depend on the markets that we are choosing, whether just the export would make sense or there is some level of local investment that we'll have to do. Play the markets that we have, the markets which have been targeted is completely identified. The groundwork is happening in terms of what will be needed in terms of the right kind of product with the right kind of adaptations done to the current products to meet the homologation requirement or the consumer preference requirement of those countries. So that work is on. You saw us entering South Africa in this financial year, and progressively you'll seeing us opening more markets. And therefore, this is how we'll progress towards 2030.
But how is competition globally, even for EVs? EVs are seeing a downward trend globally, and then there is a lot of stiff competition from Chinese players. So how just give us a picture of how...
So global play is not going to be just EVs. It has to be ICE as well as EVs.
Okay.
So it is going to be a combination of both. And we have to be, when we say globally competitive, we have to work on our cost structures and develop the extent of localization and scale that we are competitive versus whomsoever we want to compete in the markets that we choose. So that effort is on, and it's a continuous journey that we'll have to keep working on.
Great. Thank you so much, Shailesh, for joining us. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.